Sarah Chen walked through the tall halls of the Galactic Council building. Her footsteps echoed off the smooth walls made of some alien metal that always felt cold to touch. She had been humanity's voice here for 5 years now, but still felt small in these massive corridors built for beings much larger than humans. The other species always looked down at her, not just because she was shorter than most of them, but because they treated humans like children who needed protection. Every meeting was the same story. The council would give humans simple jobs: mining rocks in space, cleaning up old battlefields, or watching empty borders where nothing ever happened. Humans are still young, they would say with their strange voices. You need time to grow. Let the older races handle the important work. Sarah had heard this so many times she could repeat it in her sleep, but today felt different. Today she had been called to a special meeting that no human had ever been invited to before. The meeting room was darker than usual. Only a few council members were there, not the hundreds that usually filled the great chamber. Ambassador Kethtar from the Vorthak species gestured for Sarah to sit. His 6 arms moved like tree branches in wind, and his large black eyes never seemed to blink. Ambassador Chen, Kethtar spoke in the common galactic language. We have information to share with you. Important information about threats to human colonies. Sarah sat up straight. This was unusual. The council never shared real intelligence with humans. They always said humans were not ready for such serious matters. A floating screen appeared in the air between them. It showed a map of human space with red marks on several worlds. Sarah recognized them. These were colonies that had gone quiet in recent months. The official report said they were attacked by unknown raiders from outside the galaxy. These attacks, Kethtar continued, they are more serious than we first thought. The raiders have technology we do not understand. Very dangerous technology. Sarah studied the map more closely. Something felt wrong about the pattern of attacks. The destroyed colonies were all new settlements, places where humans had been trying new things. Better farming methods, faster ships, stronger weapons. What kind of technology? Sarah asked. Another council member, Zixura from the hegemony, made a sound like grinding metal. Weapons that can destroy entire planets, ships that move faster than anything we have ever seen. They seem to target species that show too much growth. The way Zixura said that last word made Sarah's skin crawl. Growth. Like it was something bad. We believe, Kethtar said slowly, that humans may be their next target. Your species has been developing very quickly. Too quickly, perhaps. Sarah felt anger rising in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. Too quickly? We have been careful to follow all council guidelines. We only use approved technology. We only settle worlds you assign to us. Yes, Kethtar waved 2 of his arms. But humans are different. You adapt fast. You learn fast. You fight with passion. These raiders, they seem to dislike such things. The meeting continued for another hour. The council members showed Sarah more maps, more reports, more warnings. They promised that human worlds would be protected, but only if humans stayed close to council space. No more exploring the far edges of the galaxy. No more experimental technology. No more expanding their territory. As Sarah left the meeting, she felt confused and worried. The council's story made some sense, but something still bothered her about it. Why had they never shared this information before? Why were all the attacked colonies ones that were doing well? That night in her small apartment in the diplomatic quarter, Sarah could not sleep. She kept thinking about the pattern of the attacks. She pulled up her personal computer and began looking at the official reports about the lost colonies. Colony New Texas, destroyed 3 months ago. Last report mentioned breakthrough in faster-than-light communication. Colony Hope's End, destroyed 2 months ago. Had developed new mining equipment that worked 3 times faster than anything else in the galaxy. Colony Freedom Point, destroyed just last week. Their final message mentioned completing tests on a new type of ship engine. Sarah felt her heart beating faster. Every destroyed colony had been working on something new. Something that would make humans stronger or more independent. She tried to access more files, but most were locked. Her clearance level was too low. But Sarah had learned a few tricks in her years here. She had friends in other embassies, people who owed her favors. By morning, she had copies of files she was never supposed to see. Internal council communications, military reports, budget documents. The truth hit her like a physical blow. There were no unknown raiders. The destroyed colonies had been eliminated by Council forces. The official reports were lies. The attacks had been ordered by the Council itself to stop human advancement. But that was not the worst part. As Sarah read deeper into the files, she found the real reason for the Council's fear. According to their own intelligence reports, humanity had already surpassed most Council species in military technology. The primitive humans were actually more advanced than their supposed protectors. The Council had been lying about everything. They were not protecting humanity, they were holding humanity back. And when human colonies advanced too much, they destroyed them and blamed it on imaginary enemies. Sarah found reports about Earth itself. The Council had detailed plans for dealing with humanity if they ever became too dangerous. That involved making sure humans never learned the truth about their real capabilities. Her hands shook as she read a communication between Keth Tar and the Council military commander. The subject line made her blood turn cold. Final solution for human problem. Sarah quickly copied everything to a secure storage device. She had to get this information back to Earth. Humanity needed to know what the Council really thought of them. But as she prepared to leave, Sarah realized something else. If the Council was this scared of humans, it meant humans were much stronger than anyone had told them. All those years of being treated like children, of being given simple jobs, of being told they were too weak for real responsibility, it had all been lies to keep humanity from realizing their own power. The Council had made a terrible mistake. They had been so focused on keeping humans down that they had forgotten something important about human nature. When humans discovered they had been betrayed, when they learned that their own people had been murdered to keep them weak, they would not just be angry, they would be furious. And fury, Sarah knew, was something humans did very well. She packed her belongings and prepared for the fastest trip back to Earth she had ever made. The Council thought they could control humanity by keeping them ignorant and afraid. They were about to learn how wrong they were. As her ship lifted off from the Council world, Sarah looked back at the great towers and floating platforms of their civilization. It looked so powerful, so permanent, so untouchable, but Sarah had seen the fear in their reports. She had read their desperate plans. The great Galactic Council, rulers of thousands of worlds, were terrified of one small blue planet and its angry children. Soon, humanity would know why. The emergency meeting in Geneva was not going well. Sarah Chen stood at the front of the room, her datapad in hand, facing the most powerful people on Earth. Presidents, prime ministers, military leaders, and corporate heads all stared at her with expressions ranging from shock to disbelief. "Let me understand this correctly," said President Martinez, leaning forward in his chair. "You're telling us that the Galactic Council has been lying to us for 30 years? That they destroyed our own colonies?" "Yes, sir," Sarah replied, her voice steady despite the weight of what she was revealing. "The evidence is all here. The Council sees us as a threat that needs to be controlled." Director Kim of Earth Defense shook his head. "This is hard to believe, Ambassador. The Council has given us so much: advanced medical technology, clean energy systems, space travel capabilities. Why would they help us if they saw us as enemies?" Sarah had expected this reaction. 30 years of friendship with the Council was not easy to throw away, even with proof of betrayal. They gave us those things to keep us happy and dependent. Look at what they gave us. Always technology that was already old by their standards. Always just enough to make us grateful, never enough to make us equal. General Harrison, head of Earth's Space Forces, studied the documents on his screen. "Even if this is true, what can we do? We have maybe 1,000 ships. The Council has hundreds of thousands." "That's what they want us to believe," Sarah said. She activated a holographic display showing human ship designs. "But look at our actual capabilities compared to Council forces. According to their own intelligence reports, our ships are already superior in many ways." The room fell silent as the military leaders studied the data. Slowly, understanding began to dawn on their faces. "My God," whispered Admiral Torres. "They've been feeding us false information about their strength. Our latest destroyers could take on their battleships." While Earth's leaders struggled with these revelations, Commander Marcus Torres was having his own moment of truth in the depths of space, far from both Earth and the Council worlds. Marcus commanded a small patrol fleet on the edge of human territory. 3 ships, nothing fancy, just keeping an eye on the border regions. It was boring work, the kind the Council always gave to humans. Important responsibility, they called it. protecting the peaceful frontier. But today, Marcus's communications officer picked up something unusual. Encrypted Council military channels were active in their sector. That was strange. The Council never told humans when their forces were operating nearby. "Commander," Lieutenant Walsh called from her station, "I'm getting multiple Council ships on long-range sensors, big ones, and they're heading toward Research Station Alpha 7. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Alpha 7 was a human research facility working on new engine designs. Just 50 people, mostly scientists and their families. If the Council files Sarah had brought back were true, then Alpha 7 was exactly the kind of place the Council would want to destroy. "Open a channel to Alpha 7, Marcus ordered. "Priority alert." The face of Dr. Rebecca Foster appeared on screen. She looked tired but excited. "Commander Torres. Perfect timing. We just made a breakthrough with the new drive system. We think we can cut travel time between star systems in half." Marcus felt ice in his veins. A breakthrough. Just like the other colonies before they were destroyed. "Doctor, you need to evacuate immediately. Get everyone to the escape pods and scatter. Don't ask questions, just do it now." Dr. Foster's expression changed from confusion to fear. "Commander, what's happening? Is there an attack coming?" Before Marcus could answer, his tactical officer shouted a warning. "Council ships dropping out of hyperspace. 12 vessels, heavy cruiser class. They're charging weapons." On the communication screen, Marcus could see Dr. Foster turning to look at something off camera. Her face went white. "They're targeting the station. Why would the Council attack us?" Marcus knew he had only seconds to act. His 3 small ships against 12 Council cruisers should have been suicide. Every military manual said to retreat and report. Every Council treaty said human forces were not allowed to engage Council ships without permission. But Marcus looked at Dr. Foster's frightened face and thought about the destroyed colonies. About all the lies they had been told. About the families on that research station who had never done anything wrong except try to make humanity stronger. "All ships, battle formation," Marcus ordered. "Prepare to engage Council forces, sir." His first officer stared at him in shock. "We can't fight the Council. It's against every treaty we've signed." "Those treaties were based on lies," Marcus replied. Red alert. "All weapons online." What happened next became legend in human space. Marcus's 3 ships moved with tactics the Council had never seen before. They did not fight like civilized species, standing in formation and trading shots according to established rules. They fought like humans, wild, unpredictable, and angry. The human ships split up and attacked from 3 directions at once. They used the asteroid field nearby for cover, popping out to fire and then disappearing again. They rammed damaged Council ships instead of finishing them with weapons. They used mining charges as improvised missiles. Most importantly, they fought like they had nothing to lose. The Council commander tried to contact Marcus. "Human vessel, cease your attack immediately. You are in violation of galactic law." "Your people murdered our colonies," Marcus replied over the open channel. "You want to follow galactic law? Come and make me." The battle lasted 2 hours. When it ended, 8 Council ships were destroyed or disabled. 3 had fled back to Council space. Marcus had lost 1 ship, but the crew had survived. Research Station Alpha 7 was safe. The news spread across human space faster than any official communication could travel. Merchant ships carried the story from system to system. Military units shared encrypted messages. Civilian networks buzzed with excitement and anger. Commander Marcus Torres, with 3 small ships, had defeated a Council battle group. If 3 human ships could do that, what could 1,000 do? What could 10,000 do? In military bases across human territory, officers looked at their ships with new eyes. These vessels, they had been told, were weak and outdated. They were actually powerful weapons that could match anything the Council had. On colony worlds, miners and farmers remembered all the equipment failures that had happened at convenient times, all the accidents that had killed their best engineers, all the trade deals that seemed designed to keep humans dependent on alien technology. The anger that had been building since Sarah's return from the Council worlds began to boil. Over, President Martinez called another emergency meeting, but this time the mood was very different. Military leaders who had been cautious before now spoke of mobilization. Civilian leaders who had preached patience now demanded action. "The question is not whether we can fight," General Harrison said, studying fleet deployment reports. "The question is how fast we can get ready." "Our people are already ready," Admiral Torres replied. She was Marcus's aunt, and the pride in her voice was clear. They just needed to know they were allowed to stop pretending to be weak. Sarah Chen watched the transformation happening around her and felt both hope and fear. Hope that humanity would finally take its rightful place in the galaxy. Fear of what would happen when the Council realized their pet humans were no longer willing to play that role. The storm was building, and soon it would break over the galaxy with all the fury that humanity had been holding back for 30 years. The Council had taught humanity to be patient, to be grateful, to be quiet. They had forgotten to teach them to be afraid. Fleet Admiral Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable, watching as humanity's true fleet assembled in the shadow of Mars. What the Council saw as a few hundred primitive vessels was actually the most advanced war machine the galaxy had ever witnessed. Final count. Admiral, reported Captain Stevens from his position at the tactical station. 1,200 combat vessels ready for deployment. All crews at full readiness. Elena nodded, but her mind was on the reports flowing in from across human space. The past 3 weeks had been a revelation. As soon as Earth's government had announced the truth about the Council's deception, human military units everywhere had begun showing their real capabilities. The mining ships that had been slowly moving asteroid ore turned out to have engines capable of incredible speed. The cargo vessels that had seemed so simple were actually modular designs that could be reconfigured into troop transports or mobile weapon platforms in a matter of hours. The defensive weapons on colony worlds were revealed to be sophisticated military systems that had been disguised as civilian equipment. For 30 years, while the Council thought they were keeping humanity weak, humans had been preparing for war without even knowing it. "Ma'am," called Lieutenant Commander Park from Communications, "we're receiving reports from Sector 7. Admiral Chen's task force has secured the Kepler station. Council forces retreated without engaging." Elena smiled grimly. That was the pattern repeating across the galaxy. When faced with actual human military capability, Council forces were discovering that their supposed superiority was an illusion. The first real test had come at the Proxima system, where a Council garrison had tried to stop human forces from advancing. The Council commander had sent a message demanding surrender, reminding the humans that his battle group had never lost a fight. The human response had been simple. There's a first time for everything. The battle lasted 6 hours. The Council's proud battle group was destroyed completely. Not a single human ship was lost. Elena's personal communicator chimed. A priority message from Earth Command. She opened it and felt her pulse quicken as she read. The Council had finally realized what they were facing. They were mobilizing their entire military. Thousands of ships from dozens of species were gathering at their stronghold worlds. The Council was preparing for total war against humanity. All commanders, report to the briefing room, Elena announced over the ship's communication system. 10 minutes later, the senior officers of humanity's fleet were gathered around the holographic tactical display. The map showed Council forces throughout the galaxy, far more than the humans could match in pure numbers. They have us outnumbered 5-1, Elena said without emotion. Their ships are bigger than ours. They have more resources, more weapons, more experience. The room was quiet. Everyone knew these facts already. They also, Elena continued, have no idea how to fight humans. She activated a series of recordings from recent battles. Council ships moving in predictable formations. Council commanders following ancient tactical doctrines. Council forces retreating when their plans failed instead of adapting to changing situations. For 1,000 years, the Council species have fought the same way. They line up their ships, fire their weapons, and wait to see who runs out of ammunition first.